Who taught me how to spearfish? Actually, I taught myself. Back in the 60s, when I first started, there wasn't anyone around that was spearfishing that I knew of in this area. Now, there was quite a few down in Florida, but here in this part of North Carolina, I didn't know anyone that was spearfishing. How I got deeper into spearfishing, like I said, when I first started off, I just had a mask, snorkel and fins, and a little spear gun, and I'd swim out to the pier and shoot fish. Well, eventually, I wanted to get further in the ocean and shoot bigger fish, and so I needed to learn how to scuba dive. I had a couple friends that were older than I was at the time going to college at UNCW, and they were taking the marine biology course, and one of the requirements was they get certified to scuba dive. So when they did, they taught me how. I was 15 years old, and so they taught me how to scuba dive. And I saved up my money that summer and I bought a set of scuba gear, and I started scuba diving and spearfishing. And then probably 20 years after that, I had a friend that bought a boat, offshore boat, and I'd been spearfishing and diving a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. And he said, done us a favor. He said, I signed us up for scuba classes. And this was 20 years after I'd already started. So the first time that I ever went to any type of formal training was probably 20 years after I had taught myself how to do it. But retired from GE after a 39-year career at GE, I decided that I wanted to be a commercial spearfishing. I had dabbled at it all my life, you know, but it was only when I didn't have to work. So I wanted to go full-time commercial spearfishing. So I had a friend that ran a spearfishing operation in the Gulf of Mexico in Florida. And so my wife and I, after I retired, we moved to Florida, and I went to work on that boat for 3 years. And I learned a lot from doing that. And then when I came back home, expanded what I was doing and went at it pretty hard. And today, even though I'm 73 years old, I still have the same passion for it that I ever had. I'm kind of bummed out right now because I haven't been in over a week. Trey can tell you that if I don't go like once a week, I start getting antsy. I still love it, I still have a passion for it. I've slowed down a lot, and if it wasn't for the younger guys like Trey looking out for me on the boat, because we'll go out and stay multiple days at a time. You know, our last trip, we were 60 miles offshore for 3 days. So those guys, you know, out of respect for me, they look out for me and help me out a lot. But I still love doing it. I like the spearfishing better here than I do Florida. There's a lot of fishing in the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf America now actually. There is probably more fish there, but I love it here because this is home. This is places that I've dove all my life, and I like doing it my way. I like running the show. Trey and I have mutually, we work good together because he allows me to halfway be the boss. You know what I mean? I'll make the safety decisions a lot of times, and he'll ask my advice on where I think we should start a trip and stuff like that. I like doing that. I like planning the trip. I like doing it the way I want to do it. And I like coming home when I want to come home. When I moved to Florida, I was lucky because I was on the best spearfishing boat in the Gulf of Mexico. The best spear fisherman that I know of owned the operation. He was a friend of mine that I had met at a spearfishing seminar. He had heard about me and I had heard about him. I had actually was on a spearfishing show a few years ago that I was a guide for a televised show about spearfishing. The people that produced the show and the people that were in the show got in touch with me because I'm pretty well known in the spearfishing community around here. And they asked me if I would come and for like a week take them to some of my favorite places spearfishing and stuff like that. So he had heard about me through that, and we met in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at this spearfishing seminar where people from all over the world, the best spear fishermen from all over the world meet every year. And just like a MARSOC unit, spear fishermen, they're a pretty tight group. So we got to know each other, and he asked me when I retired if I would come down and work for him, which I was eager to do. His name is Dan McMahon, and you can go on his YouTube and see some of the dives. Some of them are actually in, but he's the best spear fisherman and the most knowledgeable spear fisherman that I know of, and he's world renowned for it. And the crew on his boat, they were all professionals. And I was very blessed to be a part of that for 3 years. You know, back when I was younger and bulletproof and thought I could get through anything, you know, any situation. Like I said before, whenever I don't go spearfishing, I get hard to live with. And it was March. I've never minded going out in the boat and spearfishing by myself because I was always that confident. And so it was March. I hadn't been spearfishing in a month or more. And I was working second shift at work. And I walked out in my backyard one morning. The wind wasn't blowing. It was a beautiful day. And I went in and checked the forecast, and it looked like it was going to be beautiful for the next couple of days. So I got on the phone and I called work and I said, look, I'm not going to be at work tonight, and I'm probably not going to be there tomorrow. So I loaded up my dive gear. I went down to my boat. I kept my boat down here at Sneach Ferry at the marina. I started loading my equipment in my boat. And the old man that owned the marina, his name was Richard Powell. He came out there and he said, what are you doing, Randy? And he was an old man, and I wasn't an old man yet, but I was probably late 40s. And I said, I'm going spearfishing. He said, who's going with you? And I said, nobody. And he said, you shouldn't do that. And I said, I know it. And I kept right on loading. I got my stuff loaded up, and one of the questions he asked me, he said, well, how far are you going? I said, I'm gonna go until I can find some warm water. So I got 50 miles offshore before I found some warm water. And I crossed this ledge. Fish like to congregate on structure. Around here, we're blessed to have a lot of ledges. And so I crossed this particular ledge, and my fish finder just lit up with fish. So I threw the anchor out, got my gear on, went down there, and shot so many fish that when I came up, there was nobody in the boat to help me. I couldn't pick them up to put them in the boat, but there were some big swells out there. So I timed one of the swells just right, and when the swell came up like that, I got those fish up on the swim platform. And about the time that they got up there good, one of them flipped and they fell off and they went straight to the bottom. Now we're talking about $1,000 worth of fish. And so I got in the boat and changed my tank out, put my tank on, and as the sun was setting in the ocean, I rowed and went down there, and I went right straight to that stringer of fish. But when I turned to go to the anchor rope, it had gotten so dark I couldn't see the anchor rope. And I couldn't come straight up because I had to decompress. I had to hang for probably 10 minutes, and there was probably a 2-knot current pushing me away from the boat the whole time. And when I came up, all I could see was I had a little round stern light on the back of that boat, and when the boat would come up on top of the wave, I could see that little light. And I took off swimming against the current. Well, I knew I weren't gonna make it. I knew I was gonna die. But the only thing I could think to do, I took everything I had, my scuba gear, my spear gun. No, I kept my spear gun, I remember that. My fish, the only thing I kept was my wetsuit, my mask, and my fins. And I've kicked for all I had. This was probably at 10 o'clock at night by then. And I finally got close and took my spear gun, and I reached out like that and I grabbed hold of the swim platform, and I was able to pull myself. But I had a little conversation with God that night, and He saved me one time again. But that's just one story. I could tell you 100. I'm kind of known for doing stupid stuff like that, and a lot of people told Trey when he started spearfishing with me that I was dangerous and he probably shouldn't be doing it. But it turned out that I probably care more about his life than I do my own, because he's got a beautiful family to come home to, little kids to adore him, and they need him. So I'm on him about safety all the time. And he gets tired of hearing it from me sometimes, I know, but I still do it. I like shooting big groupers. The bigger the better. The biggest grouper I ever shot was 108 pounds, and I'm still looking to top that, but I like shooting big grouper. I haven't caught any that big, but I've seen 700-pound Goliath groupers that could actually swallow you. Matter of fact, that same guy I was telling you about, Dan McMahon, he had one time that tried to swallow him, and they get huge. You know, a 700-pound Goliath grouper's mouth is that big around, and they're very aggressive as far as trying to steal your fish from it. And what'll happen is if you shoot a fish and he's down there, he's going to try to get that fish before you do. And my buddy had shot a grouper, and he went up underneath the ledge, and my buddy went in the ledge to get the grouper out. Well, that Goliath grouper got there about the same time he did, and he just grabbed hold of his leg like that and was actually trying to swallow him so he could get to that fish. That and sharks, I mean, we have to deal with sharks all the time. Most of the time, we're not scared of them biting us or attacking us, but they're after those fish, so we have to be real careful around them. So I was talking to Pastor Steve. Pastor Steve is a well-known pastor around here. Everybody loves him. I have a great respect for him. He's not only my pastor, but a great friend. And we were talking one day, just having a conversation. And I told him, I said, you know, I hear all the time about people talking about God giving you a gift. And Pastor Steve, I finally figured out the gift God gave me is. And I think my gift is taking veterans out spearfishing and showing them what it means to me, hearing my testimony, and just testifying to them how much my faith has changed me and how it's made me secure, and that I just wish everyone had the same feeling. I wish everyone could feel the way I feel and have what I have. I think that's my gift. I think God has gifted me that. Well, I'd just like to say one more thing. There's a lot of people in this community that has helped with us. We've had sponsors, you know, on the base. Second Recon is a very good sponsor of ours. We've had local churches, local businesses to help us. But we really could not do this without the charter boat captains, and I really appreciate what they do. They understand what we're trying to do, and they've been a big help to us that we couldn't do it without them.